A 2023 roller coaster is confirmed for Dollywood, and the Pigeon Forge Planning Commission just approved a 20-acre site for a brand new attraction, and this gives us an idea of what we can expect, because that, ladies and gentlemen, is a layout. So even though we don't know the manufacturer, the height, the speed, the theme, any of that, we can take an accurate guess to figure out what sort of attraction we're going to be looking at. And just upon an initial glance at this, we can confirm that 1, this new attraction is going to be part of Phase 2 of Wildwood Grove. And this isn't really too much of a surprise. When Wildwood Grove opened, we could tell that this was definitely a Part 1. The land is awesome, but they cleared so much space back when they were making room for this, you don't clear that much room unless you're going to plan on using it. And even right next to Dragonflyer, you can see this gate where you could tell it's like, okay, yeah, when they eventually expand this area, that's where the entrance is going to be. And sure enough, we were right. What it looks like this new attraction will do, however, is kind of close off this area. It doesn't look like they're leaving a whole lot of room for a Part 3 expansion of Wildwood Grove. But that's just me. Obviously, the people at Dollywood are super creative. They know what they're doing, so I very well could be wrong. Now, as for what type of roller coaster this is going to be, all we know is that what was sent to the Planning Commission described this as a family attraction. So I'm going to assume it's not going to be anything too extreme. But calling it a family attraction does kind of have a broad connotation. This is definitely not going to be a kiddie ride. I'm imagining something a little bit more extreme than like Dragonflyer, which is already in that area. Same with more extreme than like Fire Chaser Express, but probably not on the level of like Wild Eagle or Tennessee Tornado. So let's take a closer look at those plans. Right here you can see an overview of the site, and to put in perspective, if you've been to Wildwood Grove, right here is Dragonflyer. In yellow is the new path they'll be going in. This right here is the queue and station. This is the maintenance building for the attraction. In black is the access road that's going to go around the expansion, and in blue we have the new roller coaster. And just to take it a step further, let's take that and put it over an aerial look at Wildwood Grove. This really puts into perspective as to how big of an expansion we're looking at. This ride is not going to be small by any means. Now let's get to the speculation portion, and for this I want to go back to 2019. You may remember a survey that Dollywood sent out for what people would like to see as their next roller coaster. In this survey, there were 3 options. A hyper coaster with an out and back design, and it's all photos of like B&M hypers. An indoor coaster, well, we know that's not happening. If this were indoors, we'd see some sort of big box or, a description of that. And then a spinning coaster, and it's pictures of Time Traveler at Silver City. Now, when you look at this layout, this does not lend itself towards a B&M hyper. And I think the main giveaway there is that final section. A B&M hyper is not going to get as compact like that. These things take wider turns, big sprawling attraction. I think that's too big from what this ride is going to be. So that leaves the spinning coaster. I think this is a little bit more reasonable, but I think it's also not out of the question to think that if they did go with Mach, maybe they didn't end up going with the spinning variation at all. I think about a ride like Manta at SeaWorld San Diego, or even on a little bit of a larger level, Icon at Black Bull Pleasure Beach. These are Mach multi-launch coasters that I think are more family-oriented, because even though they have some thrill to them, they're not too extreme. The launches aren't overly intense. I mean, Mach is known for making kind of what is described as like boosters. You don't really feel too much acceleration there. They can go upside down, but the actual ride experience isn't going to be crazy intense. And when I see this layout, it very much reminds me of something that Mach would do. Which is why, if I had to place any bets on what sort of manufacturer we'd be seeing for this attraction, Mach is going to be my go-to. Not saying that other manufacturers can do that, but I think it makes sense. Herschend has a working relationship with Mach. We just saw them do Time Traveler. Oftentimes when something goes to Silver City, it eventually makes its way to Dollywood. I think the rides that Mach does fits this sort of description and layout. Because when you look at this thing, it does appear to be a fairly large roller coaster. And 2 moments that I specifically want to pick out from this layout are these straight sections right here. To me, that looks like a launch track. And they're fairly long launch tracks too. Mach does not have quick accelerations, so they need more track to get up to speed. So that would fit that description of what that could be. You take your first launch to do the out and back portion, and then you hit your second launch to do the kind of twister section. But because I want to evaluate all options, let's say that maybe it's not Mach. What could some other possibilities be? And the main other 2 that come to mind is Intamin and Vekoma. Here's the issue with both of those. Herschend does not have any sort of relationship with Intamin. So this would be the first attraction that we will have done from them. Not saying that that means that this couldn't be the case, but I feel like the odds are kind of against it. And also when you go with Intamin, you tend to get more of an extreme sort of ride. They have a wide catalog that offers a variety of attractions, so not saying it has to be intense. But if you're going with an Intamin multi-launch, I mean, don't you think that you'd want to make it a little bit more extreme? The other thing that you gotta think about though is that parks like Dollywood really value uptime, and Intamins have a bit of a reputation for having more problems. It's a riskier investment. The less downtime, the better. They already have lightning rods, so I imagine they want something that they know is going to be reliable, which kind of re-emphasizes Mach. They're a safe bet. As for Vekoma, that's an interesting one because all of their hits are either at a Disney park or over in Europe. We don't really have a Vekoma multi-launch here in the US. And while I would love to see something like that here in the US, I'm just not sure that this is it. I think it's going to be a bit too extreme for Wildwood Grove. If they went with a Vekoma or a ride like this, I think it would have to be milder. Or a launch coaster that does something a little different, like maybe one of their motorbike coasters. That'd be cool, and it'd be different. The last thing I'll really add to the Vekoma theory is that it is possible Dollywood might have gotten a 2-for-1 deal. Buy one, get one discounted. And so this would be the second of that package investment. But I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. Either way, I'm not expecting anything overly crazy. The ride, after all, is going in a family area. You can have a big attraction, but not do anything too crazy. I mean, even something like Slinky Dog Dash is a great example of something that we could be seeing. That does beg the question, though, would that be too similar to Fire Chaser Express, which is already in the same park? And I think that my answer to that is no. I think if you give it a very different theme, which obviously it will be from Firefighters, and you put in some maneuvers and some things that will make it stand out. I mean, there's no way that this attraction will be going backwards like what you would see with Fire Chaser Express. And because Dollywood does deal with a lot of families, it's good to have a lot of different type roller coasters for all audiences, which is something that Dollywood does great at. So if I had to place bets on something, that's what I think we're looking at here as a Mach Rides multi-launch coaster, something in the style of Manta at SeaWorld San Diego or Slinky Dog Dash at Hollywood Studios. But we will have to wait and see. As we learn more information, I'll be sure to do another video about this topic. And in the meantime, be sure to keep an eye on Dollywood. I would not be surprised if we start seeing construction for this beginning fairly soon. And stay tuned for more rumor and speculation videos here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.